Prince William just dropped a royal bombshell, cutting off the quiet privileges that fueled Camilla's family business for years. No warnings, no mercy. The future king has drawn a bold line, and Camilla's empire is now collapsing under pressure. The crown just got serious, and no one's untouchable anymore. Camilla's hidden business ties, what the public never knew. For years, Camilla Parker Bowles's family operated a profitable yet quiet business, known only to those within royal circles. It wasn't just any business. It was one that had quietly benefited from royal proximity, a network of privileges and access that regular companies could only dream of. Behind closed doors, royal grants, soft introductions, and government-backed incentives were allegedly channeled toward this firm. Former aides say Camilla's relatives weren't just running a business. They were building an empire, quietly supported by their connection to the throne. One palace insider stated bluntly, "It was like an invisible safety net. If anything went wrong, there was always someone to call, someone from inside the palace." The most alarming part? None of this was ever disclosed to the public. While the royal family often speaks of charity and duty, this operation remained undocumented in official channels. Even the press, usually hungry for royal scandal, steered clear, either out of respect, fear, or deliberate silence. But that silence has now been broken. With the tides changing inside the palace, this once untouchable business is suddenly under pressure. The special favors are gone, and the royal connection is no longer working in its favor. What happened next would shake the foundation of Camilla's hidden empire, and it all started with Prince William. "It was never about money for William. It was about principle," said a royal source close to his office. Now, let's trace how this empire was built and how William is tearing it down. The royal funding trail. Where did the money go? When you follow the money, you find the truth. That's exactly what Prince William's office started doing earlier this year, and what they uncovered has reportedly rattled the palace. According to leaked accounts, a review of royal-linked grants and charitable aid exposed a consistent flow of resources toward Camilla's family business. We're talking about logistical support, property advantages, and even tax reliefs that seemed unusually tailored. In several cases, insiders say the business was at the front of the line for government-sponsored programs, all while keeping its royal backing quiet. Documents allegedly showed that certain royal trust funds had been steered or redirected over the years, not illegally, but uncomfortably close to the ethical line. And while the public was told these funds were going to general welfare or conservation, a portion appears to have landed in the hands of businesses with personal royal links. A retired royal financial advisor revealed, "We used to call it the soft handover. Money moves with a nod and a name. No signatures, no trails." And yet, no one in the press asked questions. Not once. Why? Because this wasn't just any business. It was tied to the Queen Consort's bloodline. But this time, things are different. William has made it clear he's not tolerating blurred lines under his future reign. His aides have started speaking up, and documents are beginning to surface. The whisper has turned into a roar. Now the pressure is on. The question is no longer if something was happening, it's how long it was happening, and who allowed it to continue. Next, we'll look into how William's private investigation revealed the cracks in this secret financial web, and how his silent campaign turned into a full-blown confrontation. William's secret investigation, months in the making. This wasn't a sudden move. Behind the scenes, Prince William had been watching, listening, and taking notes for months. According to palace insiders, the real story started in early 2024, when William quietly instructed his team to audit royal funding channels connected to outside parties. What triggered this? Reports suggest a red flag was raised during a routine financial review, tied to one of the Duchy of Cornwall's charitable arms. One of the recipients? A company linked directly to Camilla's family. That set off alarms. From there, William's team began cross-referencing old files, some dating back to as far as 2010, uncovering a pattern of approvals, connections, and overlaps, all pointing toward preferential access. Some of the transactions had no clear justification. Others were approved under special discretion. An insider revealed William wasn't angry at first. He was quiet, focused. But as the team dug deeper, it became clear this wasn't a one-time thing. It was systematic. It wasn't just about money. It was about credibility and the future of the monarchy. If the public were to find out that a senior royal's family had benefited from behind-the-scenes advantages, the damage could be massive. William knew something had to be done, and he couldn't trust the usual channels to fix it. So he escalated it. What followed next would shake the palace walls, not in public, but inside the rooms where real power lives. The moment it all changed. William's private meeting with the king.
It was a quiet Thursday evening at Clarence House. No cameras, no staff. Just Prince William and King Charles behind a closed door.
Multiple palace sources confirmed that the meeting lasted over 90 minutes, and it wasn't warm. William came armed with evidence, not just whispers, but documented records, pulled from the audit his team had compiled over the last few months. It wasn't a confrontation, it was a reckoning. At the center of it all, the same name kept coming up: Camilla's family, their business, and the special access they had enjoyed for years. According to an insider, William didn't accuse anyone of wrongdoing, but he made it clear that the palace couldn't be seen protecting a private interest. Not anymore. Tensions ran high. Charles reportedly tried to defend Camilla, suggesting that past arrangements had been within reason. But William pushed back, questioning the appropriateness of any ongoing financial benefits. The result? A royal shift. Within 48 hours of that meeting, multiple funding streams tied to Camilla's relatives were frozen or terminated. Royal charities were instructed to review all current contracts with outside businesses, and the word was passed down: no more exceptions. What happened in that room wasn't just a father-son discussion. It was a power move, and William didn't flinch. One senior royal aide described it perfectly. That was the moment William stepped out of Charles's shadow. He wasn't just the heir, he was the one in control. But pulling the plug came with a cost, and the first to feel it was Camilla's empire itself. That fallout is where we go next.
The empire cracks. What William's decision actually cut off.
After William's decisive meeting with the king, the consequences hit fast, and they hit hard. Camilla's family business, once quietly backed by a string of royal-linked perks, suddenly found itself cut off from its lifelines. Within days, all charitable grants, advisory support, and government-backed programs previously linked to the company were either paused or cancelled. The palace didn't make an announcement, but the message was clear. This is no longer protected. One insider described the atmosphere. It was like watching the power drain out of the building. Phones stopped ringing, emails weren't returned. People vanished. Crucially, at least 2 private partnerships, both of which had collaborated with the firm under the assumption of royal endorsement, pulled out. One of them, a prominent logistics company, had been negotiating a multi-year contract reportedly worth over £1.4 million. The deal vanished overnight. Without the silent backing of the crown, the business suddenly looked ordinary and vulnerable. Behind closed doors, Camilla's relatives are said to be in damage control mode. Staff were warned of upcoming changes, and sources say several key employees were told their roles were under review. A senior executive reportedly said, "Everything we built relied on connections we no longer have." But the storm was just beginning, because the most emotional blow wasn't financial, it was personal. And it hit Camilla directly. Camilla's reaction: shock, silence, and a royal rift. When the news reached Queen Camilla, palace insiders say she was nothing short of stunned. The decision didn't come through a formal channel. There was no meeting, no warning. She found out the same way many royal staffers did, through what wasn't happening anymore. One royal source described her mood as a mix of rage and heartbreak. Camilla, known for keeping a tight circle, reportedly confronted King Charles the same evening, not about the funding, but about why he let William act unchallenged. She felt blindsided, especially since the business had operated for years without objection. To her, William's move wasn't just policy, it was personal. The fallout has been visible. Camilla has skipped several internal planning meetings, and her presence at palace receptions has been notably reduced. Courtiers describe a noticeable chill between her and William, even in brief public moments. As one source put it, it's not a family issue anymore. It's a palace divide. Behind the scenes, some aides are now referring to William and Camilla as being in opposite camps, not politically, but ideologically. She represents the old guard, shaped by decades of tradition and quiet deals. He's pushing for clean breaks, clear lines, and modern optics. And make no mistake, this isn't over. The tension is growing, and the silence between them says more than words ever could. Coming up next, why William chose to act now, and how this single decision is tied to a much bigger mission he's been building for years. Why William acted now, protecting the crown's integrity. Prince William's move against Camilla's family wasn't made on impulse. It was part of a bigger plan, one he's been building quietly for years. Since stepping deeper into royal duties after Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022, William has made it clear: no more backdoor dealings, no more blurred lines between royal duty and personal benefit. He's long believed the monarchy must be transparent, accountable, and clean, especially in a time when public trust is fragile. Allowing Camilla's relatives to continue benefiting from unspoken privileges didn't just look bad. It risked the monarchy's reputation. A source close to William explained, "He's not just thinking about today. He's thinking about 10 years from now, about the throne, about his children inheriting something people still believe in." For William, it's about future power, not personal grudges. He wants a monarchy where every penny is tracked, where every favor is earned, not assumed. And Camilla's situation, no matter how long it had been happening, was exactly the kind of legacy he wants to leave behind. His supporters say this isn't just policy, it's character. He's trying to draw a hard line between being royal and being privileged, and he's doing it before he becomes king, not after. As one insider said, William doesn't want to fix the system later. He wants to clean it now. Still, for every bold move, there's backlash. And the public had plenty to say once whispers of the funding cuts hit the surface. The public response: division and disbelief. When word began to spread that Prince William had effectively shut down royal perks for Camilla's family business, the response wasn't slow or quiet. It was immediate, intense, and deeply divided. Across social media platforms, thousands of royal followers, many long frustrated by what they saw as behind-the-scenes favoritism, erupted in support of William. Hashtags like #WilliamTheFutureKing and #CleanUpTheCrown began trending within hours. For many, this moment felt like a long overdue reckoning inside an institution often criticized for protecting its own. One royal fan wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "This is the first time someone inside the palace has drawn the line. William didn't just talk about reform, he acted." In online royal forums, especially among pro-Wales communities, praise flooded in. William was being called principled, brave, and future-focused. Some even compared this move to Princess Diana's early stand against outdated royal traditions, drawing a subtle but powerful emotional link between mother and son. But not everyone saw it that way. A more skeptical corner of the public voiced concern about what they saw as a deeper rift within the family. Critics pointed out that this wasn't just a policy change, it was a public power play. And they questioned whether internal palace issues should be spilling into the public eye in the first place. Some asked tough questions. Why was this allowed to go on for so long? How many others are still benefiting quietly? And why is it only being addressed now after years of silence? The mainstream press treaded carefully. There were no screaming headlines, no explosive front pages, just small whispers in the commentary sections, and a strange, uneasy quiet from most royal correspondents. A silence many felt spoke volumes. One media insider commented off record, "This is the kind of story that turns into a wildfire fast. No one wants to be the match." But behind that silence, independent royal bloggers and online investigators wasted no time. They began connecting dots, pulling up archived photos, company documents, and event guest lists. The deeper they dug, the more suspicious patterns began to emerge, reinforcing the idea that this bombshell wasn't just about stopping favoritism, but exposing how deep it ran. The silence from Camilla's camp only added fuel to the fire. No public statement, no clarification, no rebuttal. And for royal watchers, that kind of vacuum only means one thing. There's more behind the curtain than anyone's admitting. A leading royal commentator posted, "This wasn't a leak. This was a controlled demolition. William is setting the tone, and no one's off limits anymore." The ripple effect is still unfolding. Some see this as the beginning of a new chapter in royal conduct, where even the Queen Consort's family isn't beyond scrutiny. Others fear this could widen a family fracture that's already too deep to hide. But no matter which side of the debate people land on, one truth has cut through the noise. Nothing inside the palace is as stable as it looks. And with Camilla's business empire now teetering on the edge, the next question is brutal. Is the damage even fixable? Or is this the start of a royal unraveling? Camilla's business empire today under pressure. The fallout from Prince William's decision wasn't just about cutting ties. It sent a shockwave through Camilla's entire family enterprise, a business that for years had quietly thrived in the shadow of royalty. What had once been a well-connected, privately run operation, supported by subtle palace ties and political goodwill, is now struggling to survive in open daylight. With the royal umbrella pulled back, Camilla's family business has been left exposed, not only to market forces, but to scrutiny they were never built to withstand. The firm, whose name was rarely mentioned in press circles, is now the subject of relentless behind-the-scenes questioning from former partners, regulatory consultants, and even a few curious watchdog journalists. Insiders say the company has already begun a full-scale retreat. Multiple sources confirm that planned expansions for 2025 have been abruptly cancelled. Scheduled partnerships and investment rounds have either stalled or vanished. One large deal, reportedly with a European distribution firm, fell apart just days after Williams' intervention. The mood inside headquarters has shifted from confident to chaotic. A string of emergency board meetings has taken place over the last 6 weeks, described by one participant as frantic, defensive, and fearful. The firm is now undergoing what's being internally labeled as an urgent restructuring plan, a code often used when cuts are looming and options are limited. At least 7 senior employees have reportedly been asked to step aside or retire early. Others, aware of the shifting winds, are choosing to leave quietly. The company has not issued a public statement, but those inside the industry say the silence is telling. A respected business analyst who reviewed their recent filings said, "Without the unspoken royal backing, they're no longer an elite operation. They're just another mid-tier firm clinging to relevance." But the biggest damage hasn't come from lost money. It's come from reputation. Without royal protection, the company's network of influence has begun to crumble. Government agencies that once offered discretionary support are now hesitant. Private investors who once felt reassured by the palace connection are now withdrawing entirely. And that's not all. Legal experts are reportedly re-examining past contracts and deals that were signed under the impression of royal alignment. While there's no current public investigation, several law firms are quietly pulling records, preparing for what some believe could become a regulatory headache in the near future. One insider close to the financial side of the business said bluntly, "If they can't rebuild fast, and without any help from the palace, this whole thing could fold by spring 2025. This looming collapse has left Camilla personally shaken. Those close to her say she's stunned not just by the speed of the fallout, but by how little support remains now that the tide has turned. It's a rare moment where royal status alone isn't enough to stop the bleeding. And yet, beyond the business itself, this crisis has exposed the limits of Camilla's palace power, revealing just how quickly William's influence is rising and how deeply the rules of the royal game are starting to change. What began as a quiet financial reset has now turned into a visible power shift, one that may permanently reshape the royal family's internal structure and set new boundaries that no one, not even a queen, can cross. And as this chapter closes, it leaves behind one clear message. The age of silent privilege is ending, and the future is being rewritten, one decision at a time. What this means for the monarchy, a new royal power shift. Prince William's decision didn't just shut down a business, it triggered a seismic shift inside the very heart of the royal institution. For the first time in recent memory, the heir to the throne has directly challenged Queen Camilla's influence and emerged not just victorious but firmly in control. This wasn't just about financial ethics. It was about power, perception, and the future of the monarchy. William didn't quietly step around the issue. He confronted it head-on, and in doing so, redefined the lines of royal authority. No longer is palace influence tied to marital status or historical loyalty. In one bold move, William made it clear: titles don't buy protection, and personal relationships won't shield anyone from accountability. Whether you're a working royal or a royal by marriage, the rules now apply equally. A senior palace aide summed it up best. William is drawing the line now, so no one dares cross it when he's king. He's laying down the law before the crown ever touches his head. Camilla, once seen as an unshakable figure next to Charles, is now facing the first clear boundary to her influence. For years, she operated in a space where tradition offered her quiet power, subtle, unchallenged, and woven into the system. But William has just tested that power in public, and for the first time, it didn't hold. This also leaves King Charles in an impossible position. Privately, he's torn. On one side is his wife, Queen Camilla, his most loyal supporter for decades. On the other is his son and heir, the man who will soon inherit everything. If Charles backs Camilla, he risks widening a generational rift that's already showing cracks. If he sides with William, he risks undermining the Queen's standing during a sensitive time. And yet, the stakes are far bigger than any single family dispute. This is about public trust, the currency the monarchy can't afford to lose. With rising pressure on all institutions to modernize, William's strategy isn't just a personal vendetta. It's a survival plan for the royal family itself. "This is a changing of the guard in slow motion," one royal historian observed. "William's not waiting to be crowned. He's already leading." What we're witnessing is a generational transition in real time. A quiet revolution where old royal customs are being broken, and new standards are being written by the future king himself. And for royal watchers, the writing is now on the wall. The balance has tilted. The old rules are breaking. And the future, whether the palace is ready or not, now belongs to William. This isn't just a business story, it's a clear message from Prince William. The old royal rules are done. Camilla's family may be the first to feel it, but they won't be the last. As William steps further into his future role, he's making it known: royal connections will no longer guarantee quiet privilege. The monarchy is changing, and this bombshell move proves he's ready to lead it. The balance of power has shifted, and Camilla's empire may never recover. One thing's certain: the crown's next chapter won't be written in silence. It'll be written by William.